In the 1500s, the map of the world looked a lot like this, and nobody knew what lay beyond the edge of this map.
And since then, explorers have climbed Mount Everest. They've even landed on the moon, but there are still places for which there is no map. Ariane Schindler spoke to two men who pushed the boundaries of endurance and human imagination, exploring the source of our most important natural resource.
It's a very primal fear. Being in a small space that's filled with water horrifies
Claustrophobia, deep, dark place.
It's a deep, dark place.
Dr. Andrew Pitkin and his colleague Brett Hemphill dive Florida's vast network of underground caves, mapping and exploring spots that few have ever been to, and even fewer would care to go.
Some divers would look at that and go, you guys are just crazy.
To fight the current, divers use underwater scooters that allow them to swim for miles. Some caves run as deep as 400 feet, with passages so narrow the divers can barely squeeze through.
It might be like somebody who's, free climbing El Capitan in Yosemite, as opposed to somebody who's just going for a hike, and looking at the nice scenery in terms of the logistics and the effort and the level of experience involved.
Eagle's Nest in southwest Florida is often described as the Mount Everest of cave diving.
It's very easy to get deep quick, which also adds to the potential danger for this site.
A placid pond on the surface, it plunges 200 feet before branching out into narrow and complicated tentacles. It has earned a reputation for lethality, a fact reflected in signs above the surface and below.
There should be no misinterpretation of that. The signs say that in no uncertain terms, that they will not come out alive.
Such was the case in October, says Hernando County Sheriff Al Nienhuis. Two experienced divers went in, both failed to surface.
Like many sports, very dangerous, and if you make one mistake, it can have very tragic consequences.
He got stuck in this restriction right here.
When the bodies were found, only one diver was wearing his underwater breathing unit, called a rebreather.
We do know he got stuck. He got stuck so badly that at some point he decided it would be advantageous to remove all of his equipment and literally left it laying in the dirt, completely intact, completely functioning.
The divers made it nearly 2/3 of the way back, sharing a single breathing apparatus. But air and distance weren't the only challenges.
When he decided to ditch his equipment, he became hopelessly buoyant. Literally had to make his way across the ceiling.
They were the 9th and 10th divers known to have died at Eagle's Nest. And just 4 days after we visited, another death, the 11th. Because the caves are so dangerous, the job of recovering those bodies falls to people like Brett.
It doesn't really affect you till you get home and you go to bed and you wake up and you see your kids the next day, and then you reflect. For me, it's helped me. I don't want to be that person.
The risks, while real, aren't enough to counter the pull of discovery.
The whole sensation of being where nobody has been before.
There's a real personal sense of accomplishment. We're pushing ourselves mentally and physically, but we're also discovering something as we move forward.
The team has mapped dozens of miles of previously unexplored cave.
And doing some spectacular video so you can see the karst aquifer we live on.
They hope the information and the beauty of the caves helps build respect for the value and fragility of the Floridan aquifer, the state's prime drinking water resource.
It's an amazing place. In the world we live in, truly the best way to protect something is to document it.
Wow, and just looking at that video there.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really beautiful photography.
And so there are some people who want to shut the cave diving down there.
They do. There's actually a petition out, a change.org petition. But these guys say, look, deaths happen in all kinds of sports. This one is dangerous for sure, but nobody tries to close Mount Everest. Nobody tries to close the ocean. People die spearfishing. It's just a calculated risk.
Yeah, that was